What's up guys, it's Ryan and you're watching Ryan Vision. Make sure you like and subscribe for more videos. I've got a ton of footage of this Jeep, everything that's been done to it, and I plan to cover everything that's going to be done to it. Right now what I want to do, since it's a rainy day here in Rockland, California, I figured I'd just give you a couple quick tips. I figured if I came over to my local pressure washer that I'd get some coverage from the rain, but unfortunately this roof is pretty leaky, so I'm going to do my best to do this without getting the camera wet. Alright, so right now you're looking at the front axle and of course all the steering and all that good stuff. Basically what I want to cover in this video is some tips as far as handling. Once you lift your Jeep, once you get big tires, once you start changing your steering and suspension, you're going to notice that the handling of your Jeep is going to change, even though you think you've done everything that you needed to do to dial it in for the higher lift and the bigger tires. One of the things I noticed recently, when we went to the long arms in the front and more lift, we went from 3.5 inches to 5.5 inches. I noticed that the steering was really weird. It was almost like it wouldn't center. Like if you did a U-turn, the wheel wouldn't come back to center on its own, and it just felt really weird, and the slightest input would really kind of make you swerve around, so it was uncomfortable to drive and it felt unsafe to drive on the highway. Now it was weird because when you were making turns it felt fine, but when you were trying to drive in a straight line, it was really difficult. That ended up being a combination of a couple things. If your steering wheel is not centering itself after a U-turn, take a look at your front axle. If your front axle is leaned far forward, and what I mean by that is if the top of the differential cover is leaning way forward compared to the bottom, that's your caster adjustment. And if your caster's too far forward, what's going to happen is the wheel's not going to center and it's going to feel really weird as far as the steering. But the thing is, when you lift a vehicle, that caster angle changes, and you want to adjust it because you got to find the sweet spot between pinion angle and, you know, steering comfort. So there you can see the differential, the front differential, and you can see the drive shaft going into the differential right there where the U-joint is. Okay, the pinion angle is basically how the drive shaft is angled with the pinion gear in the differential, and the trade-off there is if you have, you know, too much of an extreme angle, then you're going to have some drive shaft vibration. But again, if you have, you know, too much forward caster, you're going to have some handling issues. So what you got to do is experiment with it and look at your lift kit, find out what they suggest for the lift that you have and the steering that you have and everything like that, and figure out whether or not you have a transfer case drop to figure out what your caster angle should be. For my setup, they, in the instructions, said somewhere around 3.5. I think I ended up being, now with the alignment all set, I'm right around 4.0, maybe 4.2. When I was at 2.5, that's when things were a little sketchy. So it's handling a lot better now. So again, it's a trade-off. Driveline vibration versus steering comfort. So adjust it, go for a drive. If your drive shaft is vibrating a lot, you know, that's going to shorten the life of your drive shaft. So adjust it a little more, just a little bit at a time, and then see if the vibration goes away, and see if you can tolerate the way that the vehicle is handling and steering and the wheel coming back to center. So it really is just a trade-off and finding a nice balance in between. Another thing I ran into just recently is the Jeep was handling great. You know, we got the alignment done, the caster was all adjusted, everything like that. Went out to the off-road park, got the Jeep a little muddy, and I'm one of those guys that's real particular. You know, I don't mind going out and playing and getting dirty and muddy, but the second I get home, I don't care if it's nighttime, I go to the pressure wash and I pressure wash my tires inside and out. I pressure wash the wheel wells, the entire undercarriage, the axles, everything. I want it to be really nice and clean. So the problem with that was, on these Heim joints on the Iron Rock Offroad over the knuckle steering kit, there's some lubrication on those joints, but not much. They're not covered in grease or anything like that. So what happened was I pressure washed all the lubrication out. Then I went for a drive, and I was going, man, what the heck? Did I bump my caster out of adjustment again? Because it was doing the same stuff where it didn't want to drive in a straight line again. Well, what it ended up being was the joints actually, you know, got dried out as far as lube after the pressure wash. And so when I put some input in to the left on the steering wheel, it was like it was kind of binded up, you know, there was no lube, so it didn't want to turn, and then all of a sudden it would catch. But by that time I had put a lot of input into the steering wheel, so it swerved one way, then I tried to come back the other way to correct it, and it swerved the other way because the joints were catching and then releasing and then catching and then releasing, and it was really bad, and I was worried about it. But then I said, you know what, let's just try lubing it up. And the other thing was I had a creaking noise on the passenger side, excuse me, on the driver's side, when I was not moving very fast or stopped and I would turn the wheel a little bit, I got this like creaking noise. Well, that ended up being the hind joint on the driver's side. So all you need to do is, and again, this depends on what kind of guy you are. Like, what kind of, are you a clean freak, you know, or do you never wash the thing? Because I'm a clean freak, and so WD-40 is all I need. Because, you know, yeah, this stuff's gonna attract some dirt, but again, every time I get done wheeling, I go straight to the pressure wash. So I just keep this in the Jeep now, and if anything starts binding up or squeaking, I squirt some of this off, squirt some of this on it, and then, you know, I'll go out and off-road, and maybe I'll get some dirt stuck to it and whatnot. I'll pressure wash it and I'll squirt some more on. This has been working great. So all I did was I came over here where I heard that creaking noise, and I sprayed a little under the washer here so it got in the hind joint real good. Just squirt it all around. You know, don't be gentle with it. Don't be shy with it. Same thing over here on this ball right here. Got a nice coverage on there. In between this washer on the hind joint, let it run down. The other thing I did, which you probably won't be able to see on the camera, so let me scoot you up a little bit. There you go. Up here, where the fitment arm meets the drag link, give it a little squirt there, because you can see that's a ball too, and it rotates and pivots. So that's all it took. Quick little squirt of lube on those essential joints right there, and my handling was restored. All the weird creaking noises went away and everything like that, and it drives like a dream. And you'll notice I have no steering stabilizer. And I was thinking that for a while too. I was like, well, maybe I need to throw the steering stabilizer on. But if you guys have seen my other videos, this thing flexes like crazy. And the steering stabilizer really gets in my way. It kind of binds up, you know, when I'm flexing, because if I run the one that goes from the stock location to the drag link, it's just not going to work. And I don't have the right brackets right now to run one on the tie rod. And I find I don't need one as long as my tire pressure is good and my alignment is good and all my joints are lubed. Okay, another thing I'll do is if I start getting some squeaky noises when the suspension is moving, I'll go around all four corners, and anywhere the shocks connect and pivot, I'll just spray a little WD-40 in those too, and right away it'll take the squeaking away and I'll let the suspension move more freely. Okay, right now you're looking at the axle side of my rear adjustable track bar, and same thing, if I get some squeaks in there, I'll just take the WD-40, squirt it down into the bracket. That way it can move freely without squeaking, and I'll do the same thing on the top side as well. Okay, now we're back to the front side, and you can see my HD track bar mount, the frame mount from Rusty's Off-Road. Same thing, give that a little squirt. And on the low side too, where it goes to the axle, give that a little squirt. So any squeaks and creaks that are going on with suspension travel, that should take care of it. And again, your handling is going to be a whole lot better once everything's freed up. So if you're not someone that keeps the Jeep really clean, you might want to go to your local like dirt bike or motorcycle shop, because they have a lot of lubes that are better than WD-40. They actually penetrate better, and they protect more against like dirt and grime buildup. They're made for stuff like the motorcycle chain. So check that out. Obviously you're going to spend some more money, But again, if you're not a guy that gets home and pressure washes it right away and squirts WD-40 on it, you might want something that lasts a little longer and stands up to dirt, grime, and is also water resistant. Okay, something else that's really important as far as handling is knowing how to dial in your tire and wheel setup. You can see I'm running the original 15x7 wheels with 35x1250 tires. And the thing is, you know, you go to the tire shop and you have them mount and balance your tires, they're going to send you out of there on 35 psi. Well, if you have a really narrow rim, like a 7-inch rim with a 1250 tire, obviously the center of the tire at 35 psi is going to be way bubbled out. What that's going to do is give you a really bad contact patch. And what I mean by contact patch is just how much of the tire is actually contacting the road. And that bad contact patch is going to make it handle like crap. I mean, it's almost like you're on a rollerblade wheel or a little skinny bike wheel instead of, you know, a big nice square bottom tire. So when you don't have much of the tire on the road, you're going to notice your handling sucks. I mean, the slightest input, you're going to skate that way. The slightest input back the other way, you're going to skate that way. So what you have to do is just air your tires down until you're getting a nice contact patch. You're not going to hurt anything by airing the tires down. In fact, you're going to hurt the tires by running them with too much pressure. You've probably seen trucks where the center of the tire, like my old tires, the center of the tire was completely worn out and the outside still had tread. That's an indication that the tires were run for quite a long time with way too much pressure in them. So if you lower the pressure of the tires, you'll get more contact patch, they'll wear more evenly, and it'll handle better. The thing you have to be aware of is it's going to decrease your fuel mileage. Obviously in this V8 Jeep, I'm not worried about my fuel mileage, but it will. I mean, think about riding a bike. If you're riding a bike with flat tires, it's a hell of a lot harder to pedal than if it's aired up to 50 psi like it's supposed to be. Then you can ride the bike no problem. So in these off-roading, on just the mild stuff, I've been running 18 psi. If I go off-roading on some extreme stuff like the Rubicon Trail again, I can go down to probably 8 psi on these, maybe even a little lower, because the benefit of running a big tire on a small rim is it's much harder to pop the bead off. So in this case, a 7-inch wide rim on a 1250 tire, it's going to be real hard for me to pop that bead off. I could probably go down to 8 psi with no bead locks and not have to worry about it. The other thing you need to be aware of running low pressure on the street is when you make U-turns or real sharp turns, you may get the sidewall rolling over just a little bit, and you don't want to just eat the tire. So when you do a U-turn, maybe just take it a little bit slower. I mean, you'll feel it, so you'll find a comfort spot. And I just take U-turns real slow and wide in this. Like even if I'm doing a U-turn on a 3-lane road, I'll go all the way to the outside lane, and then once I straighten out, I'll start cutting back to the inside lane if I need to. But the other thing you can do, you'll hear people talk about the chalk test. All they're saying is color some chalk on your tire and then drive and see where the chalk wears off. You can do the opposite too. You can put some chalk on the ground, or I was lucky enough to find like some drywall dust or something similar on the ground at a loading dock. And so the reverse effect is find something dirty on the ground, drive across it, and see where all the white stuff stuck to your tire. And in my case, it was sticking, you know, mostly to the inside, so I just kept dropping the pressure until it went more out to the outside. So right now I'm dialed in. I run about 22 psi on the street for normal driving, and then like I said, when I go to the mild off-road park, I'll run 18 psi, and then if I start losing traction, I'll just keep dropping the pressure down, but I won't go lower than 8 psi with this setup. So every Jeep's different, every tire combination is different, so you just gotta dial it in. Another thing with these tires, these are the Goodyear Wrangler MTR Kevlars, so the sidewall's got Kevlar in it. I can run these at a lot lower pressure than other tires because of the firmer sidewall. So like I said, every Jeep's different. Just dial it in for your own needs and get the handling situated for something that works for you. Well, that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video, and hopefully you can get everything figured out on your Jeep, get the tire pressure set up right, get your joints all lubed up, Remember one thing though, WD-40 is a degreaser. So if you got a joint that is normally greased, don't spray WD-40 on it. That's not going to do you any good. But any of the other dry joints, like a Heim joint, you know, you can squirt some WD-40, or like I said, go to your local motorcycle shop, get some good stuff and spray it on there. But that's it for today. I think I'm going to head over to Jack in the Box, get one of those grilled breakfast sandwiches, and then I'm going to pull the Z out of the garage and get the Jeep in there and tighten up a few loose ends, and you know, just keep myself busy on this rainy day. It doesn't look like it's going to stop raining anytime soon, so I might as well just stay busy in the garage, get some stuff done. Have a good one, guys. Make sure you like and subscribe for more videos, and stay tuned on Ryan Vision. See ya.